I hope everyone can hear me loud and clear, right? All right. Hi, my name is Dominic. I'm from IMDA's Data Protection, Innovation and Protection Group, and I will be sharing with you the revised data analytics and personal data protection requirements in the vendor self-assessment checklist that you will need to align your solutions to. Okay, so at this part, just briefly let me share. The use of big data analytics is on the rise, and it will play a central role in business operations for years to come. Thus, the capability of businesses to leverage data sets and information to make data-driven decisions will be a determining factor in their competitiveness both today and in the future. However, it is equally important for businesses to ensure that adequate security measures are in place to protect the personal data in their possession to build consumer trust and confidence. Now, for SMEs with limited resources and the lack of competency, it is challenging for them to get started on data use and protection. And to help these SMEs bridge the gaps, IMDA is looking at enabling responsible data use through pre-approved solutions like yourself to help SMEs thrive in the digital economy. With the revised data analytics and personal data protection requirements, SMEs can better manage their personal data protection risks with built-in measures and kickstart their data analytics quickly with embedded features to improve business outcomes. Next, please. Thanks. Okay, so this slide outlines the revised data analytics and personal data protection requirements in the vendor self-assessment checklist. Most of the revised data analytics and personal data protection requirements should not be foreign to you, as they have been kept as preferred requirements to give a head start for some time. Now, SME Go Digital also done a quick poll with the existing vendors and found that most digital solutions are able to meet these data analytics and personal data protection requirements. And it is important for you to note that you will need to align your digital solutions to this by 30th November 2024 to be eligible for pre-approval. For clarity, you may still apply for pre-approval for the time being, even if your digital solutions do not meet these requirements. However, you need to ensure that you are able to meet these requirements by 30th November 2024 again, as it may result in the delisting of your pre-approved digital solutions if you don't. Now, as part of the validation process, you are required to complete an online declaration form with the necessary supporting documents prior to submitting your application to the SME's Go Digital team. In the subsequent slides, we will provide detailed information on what each requirement entails, as well as examples and best practices on how each requirement can be implemented in your digital solutions to ensure compliance with the data analytics and personal data protection requirements. Now, for the digital solutions with personal data, please note that there is a total of 6 requirements that you will need to meet, which we'll talk about it in the next slide. Manoj, please. Now, the following slide outlines the 6 personal data protection requirements. Again, these requirements are not new, but they are now mandated, signifying a focus on data protection, data security, and resilience in digital solutions, and emphasizing the importance of integrating key protection measures such as encryption, two-factor, and or multi-factor authentications, as well as backup in digital solutions to enhance the protection of personal data and to enable quick recovery in the event of a data breach. In addition, again, quick poll conducted by the SME's Go Digital team with some providers found that most digital solutions are able to meet these requirements. And in the subsequent slides, we will again provide detailed information and examples, best practices as well, on how you can meet each requirement in your digital solutions. Next, please. As part of the declaration and validation process, you are required to complete an online declaration form with the necessary supporting documents prior to submitting your application to the SME's Go Digital team. The following group of solution providers are required to submit the declaration. The first group, existing pre-approved digital solutions that are still active and will be active after 1st December 2024. The second group, re-application of existing pre-approved digital solutions that would be expiring before 1st December 2024. Right? So for example, if your re-application of solution expires in October 2024, kindly note, the first 2 groups I mentioned, please indicate the LOA number in your declaration form. This is important, okay? Then of course, the third group would be application for new or expired pre-approved digital solutions. Kindly note, solutions that provide digital marketing packages, you are not required to submit any declaration, right? Again, the requirements would only be relevant to you folks that have a software that is providing a software, okay? For those that are providing professional services, these requirements are not relevant to you. You will not be subjected to them. Right, next please. Okay, let's dive into the data analytics requirements. To meet the first data analytics requirement, all digital solutions should have one or more dashboards that provide an at-a-glance overview of charts, indicators to help your SME users analyze the data. Now, as part of the evaluation, you are required to provide screenshots of all dashboards in your digital solution with a brief description on the objective, the purpose of each dashboard. Documents would need to be submitted in PDF to reduce file size. Now, this is an example of what you need to include in your submission. It's right here. Okay, next please. For the next data analytics requirement, all digital solutions should allow users to perform cross-filtering on the dashboard to analyze real-time data and generate insights to make informed decisions. To put it simply, cross-filtering allows users to interact with one chart and apply the interaction as a filter to the other chart on the dashboard. It can help users understand how different parts of the data are related. And you are required to provide screenshots of all dashboards in your digital solution with a brief description on the list indicators that can be used to perform cross-filtering for each dashboard. Now, here is an example of what you need to include in your submission. If the cross-filtering can be cited easily, right? So, for example, the color of non-selected part of the pie chart is lightened, then you may submit the document in a PDF format to reduce file size. Otherwise, you may submit a GIF image or a short video saved in a zip format. Okay, next please. Okay, so I'll just take this opportunity to promote IMDA's Better Data-Driven Business, or BDDB program for short, right? So with the evolving digital landscape and increasing volume of data collected over time, it is challenging for businesses to keep pace. So against this backdrop, IMDA launched the BDDB program to help SMEs improve their capabilities in data analytics. And as part of this program, SMEs will embark on their data journey with access to a free, easy-to-use business intelligence tool to transform existing data into actionable insights that will help them address common SME business objectives. Now, this free BI tool, a business intelligence tool, was designed in consultation with SMEs, and it comes with 10 predefined sets of data templates and dashboards designed to meet the diverse needs of B2B and B2C SMEs. If you are looking at incorporating a dashboard in your digital solution, these BI tool dashboards can serve as a useful reference and be the starting point for you. Okay, so we'll move on to the next slide, and we'll just hold this slide for a while. I'll just hold here for a while so you can scan the QR code to register your interest by completing a very simple online form. And this BI tool, once you've registered, this BI tool package will be emailed to you at the end of this briefing. Right, so I'll just give you some time to scan the QR code. Maybe just another 10 seconds or so. Right, so if you're not able to scan the QR code, don't worry. There's always our good friend Google. Just go to Google and type in IMDA BDDB, and you will be directed to our webpage. And there you can also download the BI tool. Right, so now we'll move on to the data protection part. Personal data protection requirements, which will strengthen the data protection standards of your clients. Right, so first and foremost, let me just share a little bit first. The Personal Data Protection Act, the PDPA, right, it provides a baseline standard of protection for personal data in Singapore. So what you see here, the diagram, it illustrates a typical data flow cycle of a business where the PDPA applies to the collection, the use, and the disclosure of personal data. Personal data is defined as data about an individual who can be identified from that data, or from that data and other info that the organization has or is likely to have access. It can be in the form of customers' information, enrollment forms, employees' record, and even membership forms. Often, businesses collect personal data from your customers, your employees, your members for transaction, marketing, or audit purposes, which are then disclosed to a subsidiary, data intermediary, or the organization's HQ. Next, please. So what we're going to talk about now is the personal data protection requirements. However, before we go into the specific, I would like to emphasize that the examples provided here for implementing the following requirements, they are not exhaustive, right? Vendors, you have the flexibility to implement the requirements in various ways based on your specific solutions and capabilities. And also, it is important to note that clients who use your solutions that meet the personal data protection requirements, it does not equate to them complying with the PDPA. So please do not go and tell your clients, use my solution and comply with the PDPA. It doesn't work that way, okay? So please note on that. Okay, so for each requirements, vendors shall demonstrate how their solutions align with the requirements by providing screenshots of features and a brief description of the purpose of each feature. This will provide clarity for us and give us a context when we evaluate your evaluation. So we're looking at the first requirement. Your digital solution should have features to capture consent from individuals after notifying them about the purposes for the collection, use, and disclosure of personal data. This feature enables organizations to manage consent in a compliant and user-friendly way. Now, here are some examples of how these requirements can be implemented with a digital solution. SME users, you can create customized consent form. Or rather, your users can create customized consent forms and communication preferences within your solution, allowing the individuals to review privacy policies and provide consent for specific data processing activities. Your SME users, when they use a solution, they can create and send emails to individuals containing links to consent forms, enabling the individuals to review and provide consent through the digital solution. The solution can track and record consent status based on the responses received from the individuals via the provided links. Another example, SME users, your users, have the capability to manually update consent details within your solution when consent is obtained through various channels such as portals, phone calls, or even in-person interaction. Okay, the last example would be that your solution can include a dedicated portal that allows individuals to directly update their consent preferences, including opting out of specific data processing activities, for example, receiving marketing materials. Okay, we'll look at the next requirement. Next slide, please, Manoj. Thanks. Second requirement, your digital solution shall have features that allow for access, update, or correction of an individual's personal data. This feature enables your organizations to manage access, update, and correction requests in a compliant and user-friendly manner. Here are some examples of how this requirement can be implemented within the digital solution. Example number 1, SME users can update individual records in response to data requests received through the digital solution, whether is it through the portal or some other digital channel, as well as through manual methods such as email, phone calls, or in-person interactions. Example, the solution can include a dedicated portal that allows individuals to submit data access, update, and correction requests of their personal data directly. Right, so the last example I'm going to give is that individuals can also access the portal to update or correct their personal data directly, providing a transparent and user-centric approach to the data management. Okay, we'll look at requirement 3, Manoj, thanks. For requirement number 3, your digital solution shall have features to set retention periods for the personal data and flag out records which have reached the end of their retention period. This feature enables organizations to effectively manage data retention in compliance with regulatory requirements, while providing flexibility and control over the retention and the purging process. I'm going to share with you some examples of how these requirements can be implemented within your digital solution. So an example, for example, SME users can set default and or configure specific retention periods for individual records or different types of records or data categories within the system. This allows for a tailored retention period based on the nature of the data and regulatory requirements. The solution can provide the option for automated purging of data when the retention period expires based on the configured settings, or allow users to manually initiate the purging of data when the retention period expires, again providing the flexibility and control over the data management process. The solution can send out automated notifications to users when personal data records reach the preset retention period, serving as a reminder to review and take action on data that is approaching its retention limit. Right. Finally, another example would be the solution can allow users to search manually for records based on the retention due date, allowing for proactive review and management of data that is nearing the end of its retention period. Now we'll look at requirement 4. For this requirement, your digital solution shall have features to incorporate encryption of personal data for both for data in transit, for example, TLS, and at rest, for example, data stored on the servers, in ensuring that personal data are effectively safeguarded within your digital solution. I'm going to share some examples as well, how this requirement can be implemented. Example, the solution can use encryption methods such as transport layer security, TLS, to secure and encrypt data transmitted between a user's device, for example, your clients, and the server, ensuring that the confidentiality and integrity of data during transmission. Personal data stored in databases are encrypted at rest, ensuring that the data remains protected even when it is stored on the server or in storage. The digital solution can incorporate file-level encryption for all files containing personal data, whether they are stored on the server, on cloud storage, or on other storage systems. This ensures that data remains encrypted and secure regardless of its storage location. The last example, secure data transfer protocols can be used for transferring files or data between different systems, ensuring that the data remains encrypted and protected during inter-system transfers. Now we will look at requirement 5. In this requirement, your digital solution shall incorporate two-factor authentication, 2FA, or multi-factor authentication, MFA, to ensure that only authorized persons can access the personal data to enhance the security of personal data access. I'm going to share some examples how this requirement can be implemented. Example number 1, digital solution can provide a 2FA MFA feature that requires at least 2 forms of authentication, such as combining a password with a one-time code sent to a registered device. Quite common nowadays, right? Example, mobile phone or token. This approach enhances security by adding an additional layer of verification beyond just a password. Users can enable 2FA, MFA to secure high-risk transactions, such as large-scale data transfers or access to sensitive personal data. By selectively applying 2FA or MFA to high-risk activities, your solution can ensure that additional authentication measures are in place for critical operations. The use of one-time password, OTP, or 2FA MFA for administrator or accounts with access to large volumes of personal data or personal data of confidential or sensitive in nature, right? So for example, financial or health records. Now we'll look at the last requirement, requirement number 6, Manoj, please. For this requirement, your digital solution shall include backup features to perform regular and automated backup to another location separate from the operating environment, such as a cloud backup, to enhance data protection and resilience, ensuring that personal data is regularly backed up, securely stored in offsite locations, and available for recovery as and when needed. And again, I'm going to share some examples. SM users, for example, can configure how often backups occur and how long the backup data is retained, providing that flexibility in defining backup frequency and retention periods based on the organization's needs and regulatory requirements. The solution can offer the option to store backups in offsite locations, such as cloud storage services, ensuring that the backup data is separate from the primary operating environment and providing that additional layer of protection against data loss. The digital solution can keep multiple versions of backed up data, allowing users to select the desired restore point and providing the flexibility to recover from specific backup versions as and when needed. Now, the last example, solutions can allow users to schedule regular automated backups at specific intervals, such as daily, weekly, or monthly, enabling the seamless and consistent backup of data without manual intervention. All right, so we look at the next slide. So what do you need to do? Okay. Now, it is crucial for all digital solutions to comply with the data analytics and personal data protection requirements by 30th November 2024 to be eligible for pre-approval under the SME's Go Digital team. As part of the declaration and validation process, you are required to complete an online declaration form with the necessary supporting documents prior to submitting your application to the SME's Go Digital team. I will bring you through the steps here, the 4 steps. Step one, number 1, visit the provided link right here. And I believe that if you're an existing vendor, you would have received this link as well. Okay, so use this link to view the list of mandatory data analytics and personal data protection requirements. Familiarize yourself with the specific requirements and guidelines outlined by IMDA, and note that your digital solution does not need to meet the personal data protection requirements if it does not collect, use, disclose, process, or dispose of personal data. I say this again, okay? Your digital solution does not need to meet the personal data protection requirements if it does not collect, use, disclose, process, or dispose of personal data. Okay, step 2, gather the necessary supporting documents such as images, screenshots, your write-ups, and any other relevant materials that demonstrate how your digital solution meets the requirements, and then submit them via the online declaration form. Step 3, after submission, IMDA will review and validate your submission. We may require approximately 2 to 4 weeks to complete the review process, and once your submission has been validated, IMDA will provide an email confirmation of your compliance. And step 4, upon receiving the confirmation from IMDA, attach the email confirmation in your application to the SME's Go Digital team. So should you have any queries, you can write to us. Okay, I think there's an email there. No, okay. You can write to us anyway. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll provide the email at the chat later. It's supposed to have an email there. Okay, let's move on to the next one, right? So
is it the data protection essential?
Yeah, correct. Yep.
Is there?
Oh, is it there?
Yeah, it's there.
Okay. So I can't see it like a bit. Too many words for me also. That's okay. All right, boys. We will provide the email there. Right. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to just run you through some of the commonly asked questions. Okay. So we've conducted this on the 27th of Feb, as Jie Ling mentioned earlier on, and we have some questions that might be relevant to you. So what we'll do is very briefly, we will run through the questions. So first question, my organization has multiple pre-approved digital solutions under SME's Go Digital. Do I need to submit a new declaration for each pre-approved digital solution? Yes, you are required to submit a new declaration for each solution by the link here. Okay, does IMDA prescribe and mandate the matrix and indicators to be built into the dashboard, right, for the various types of digital solutions? So this is for the data analytics requirement. No, we do not prescribe and we do not mandate what kind of matrix or the indicators to be built into the dashboard, right? So we acknowledge that there are different industry sectors and users may have varied requirements for data analysis. So we leave it to you to decide on the matrix and indicators. Next, please. Can we install or introduce an add-on digital solution that connects to our pre-approved digital solution through Application Programming Interface, or API, to support the data analytics requirement? Yes, it is acceptable as long as the add-on data analytics digital solution is an integral part of the pre-approved digital solution for the ease of use by our SMEs, right? So, however, do kindly note that this will still be subjected to approval by SMEs Go Digital. The next question, my pre-approved digital solution does not collect and process personal data. Do I still need to comply with the personal data protection requirement? Now, your solution will not need to comply with the personal data protection requirements if it does not collect, use, disclose, process, or dispose personal data. If you're not sure, the email is here. If you're not sure whether the data collected by your digital solution qualifies as personal data, please write into this email here, right? Data protection_essentials@imda.gov.sg. Right, so this is the email to write into us. I was talking about the email earlier on. This is the email address. Next, please. Okay, long question, or rather a question with a long answer. So how do I know if my pre-approved digital solution needs to build in the features to capture consent given by the individual after notifying the individual on the purpose for the collection, use, and disclosure of personal data? Right, so do note, it is not mandatory for all pre-approved digital solutions that collect, use, and store personal data. That means that your solution is already collecting, use, and storing personal data to include a built-in feature to capture consent from the individual. The necessity to capture consent varies based on the specific use case and the nature of the collected and processed data. So, for instance, HRMS, Human Resource Management Systems. Typically, you will handle employees' personal data, right, for employment purposes. And in this context, explicit consent would have been given, right, for data collection, use, and disclosure. It would have been obtained through the employment contract. So when they sign on a dotted line, that is a consent given already, right? Or other legal means before the data is uploaded to the HRMS, yeah, correct. Therefore, the HRMS may not require a specific feature for capturing consent, as consent has been already obtained through alternate methods. Okay, conversely, right? So another example, CRMS, Customer Relationship Management Systems, right? CRMS may directly gather personal data from the user's customers for marketing and communication purpose. And in this scenario, it is important for the CRMS to incorporate features for capturing consent from the individual after informing them about the purpose for the data collection, use, and disclosure. Okay, so again, to put it simply, even if your solution collects, use, and stores personal data, right, you have to see what is the purpose and use cases. If there's explicit consent collected by the company that's using your solution, then if not, then yes, you may have to have this feature to capture consent. All right, let's move on. Okay, do I need to set a default retention period in my pre-approved digital solution or allow my users to configure based on their own needs? So which one should it be, right? Okay, there is no need to set a default retention period in your solution, right? So we want to give the flexibility to users in setting the retention period for their personal data to align with their legal, their business needs, right? So your solution should integrate features that would allow users to customize their retention period based on the data categories such as resigned employees, right, as an example, and to flag records that have reached the end of their retention period. Now, the last question, I believe this is the last question. Is storage of personal data on cloud databases such as AWS, M365, Google considered as a method of encryption at rest? Yes, provided that the cloud database that's being used provides encryption at rest as a standard security feature. Okay, so it is important to configure the digital solution, your solution, to ensure that encryption is enabled by default. And if you're not sure, please check with your cloud service providers on this. Right, so I believe that's the last. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Sorry. Yeah, okay. That is the requirements that we've talked about. So again, just give me about 1 minute to talk about these programs that we have. We have the Data Protection Essentials program designed for SMEs to acquire a basic level of data protection and security practices. Right. So if you are a SME here and you are concerned about the state of your own, right, your own company's personal data protection compliance, do take up this program, the DPE. Right. So if you take on this program and touch wood, in the event of a data breach, having completed this program, it may serve, or rather, sorry, the PDPC may consider your implementation of the DPE favorably. Right? So please scan the QR code here for our DPE. We have the other program called the Data Protection Trust Fund. This is a certification, or rather, it's a certification, voluntary, not mandatory, voluntary, good to have, enterprise-wide certification for you to demonstrate that you have the accountable data protection practices in place. It is valid for 3 years. And the benefit of this trust fund, the two biggest benefit is, number one, it helps you to demonstrate compliance to the PDPA. It puts in the policies for you to demonstrate that you comply with the PDPA. And number two, especially if you are doing business with the government sectors, right? So a lot of government tenders are starting to ask for the data protection trust mark for vendors who are certified. So this will definitely be helpful if you are providing services to the government. Right, so the QR codes are here, the slides will be circulated. Feel free to find out more. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop us an email as well, the email here. Right, thank you. I'll hand this time back to Manoj.